Hey everyone, it's Patty from PS Paper Crafts. Thanks for joining me. I'm Stampin' Up! Independent Stamping Up demonstrator, and I'm going to show you how to use some of the Stamping Up products here. Making this Happy Mother's Day card using timeless tulips. It's really a nice set to have. It has a stamp set with some great images and some nice sentiments, and then there's a coordinating punch. So it punches this big tulip and then this leaf. So it's pretty neat to be able to stamp and punch. And I'm using this So Very Vellum, I think what it's called. Let me see. So Very Vellum, I had it right. This is a free product when you purchase $50 of product during Sale-A-Bration. So it has purple posy. I'm trying to see where you can see the color. Purple posy and pool party, and then seafoam green. So I'm using the purple posy and the seafoam green today, and I'm using Highland Heather and Pear Pizzazz behind it. I wanted to have a darker color, so I stamped in the Highland Heather, and then I have this lighter purple posy, and then I stamped in Pear Pizzazz and have the lighter So Saffron, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, So Saffron color. So anyway, I have my pieces. This is the Highland Heather card base, and we're going to go ahead and do some of our stamping. I cut this out. This is Whisper White cardstock, and I cut it out using the Stitched So Sweetly die set. And I have to tell you, I love this. This is the largest one, and it's just really it's one of my go-tos. You can layer and have different colors with a border behind it, so it's really pretty. So let's get started with our stamping. I'm going to put these aside, and when I'm using a punch, I like to use a strip. So if you turn over your punch and you click this to unlock it, you want to stamp and put it in here instead of using this whole thing together. So I'll do the tulip and then I'll do the leaf, and it just makes it easier. So I'm going to stamp my tulip right on here with Highland Heather, and I'll punch it out, and then I'll stamp my leaf. And actually I'm going to stamp 2 leaves. So we'll just do this, and I'm going to put it right down here. And before I do my leaves, I'm going to punch it out. So we just feed this in here and just line it up. And I like to squeeze it just a little bit and get it where I want it, and then you can punch it. So just try to get the same amount of white around the whole edge. And then I'm going to do my green, and I'm using the Pear Pizzazz. And let's move that up here, and I'll do 2 leaves. And I may have to cut around this to get it to feed in correctly, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So we'll take this, and you'll see I'm having a hard time fitting it, so I probably should have done it up and down, but I wanted to squeeze 2 of them in. So what I'll do is I'll just cut around, and let's see how this works. Sometimes you may have to cut it a few times to get it in there. I'm thinking that long angle at the bottom might be a problem. And it's good to have a piece hanging out so that you can grab it. If you don't, you can put a Post-it note and make that kind of your handle. So we're going to punch this one out, and then we'll punch this one out. And let's see how this is going to work. So I'm going to just cut this off, and I'm going to use a piece of Post-it note. Whoa. This is like back and forth here. And it's okay if you put it over the image. It's not a problem at all. It's not going to cause any problem. You'll just punch it out and it'll be stuck. And you can pretty much guide where you want to punch it out, even though you have the Post-it note on it. Okay, so we'll put that down, and now I have this little tiny piece of Post-it note, and I'll just take it off. So we have our leaves and we have our tulip. So now we want to punch another tulip out of the vellum and another 2 sets of leaves, or 2 leaves. So got a little piece in here. Let's get rid of that guy. And see, so I don't want to waste too much of this vellum, so I'm using it where it goes, instead of like here, I'd be doing a leaf and the piece. So I try to just be smart about where I'm punching. So that's one. And then let's get the leaves. So I have another piece of the soft sea foam. And I'm going to do it this way. And I'm trying to get some of these big dots because I'm going to use them for gluing. And when you glue or adhere vellum, you have to be pretty careful with it because you don't want it to show through. And I found that if you put it where these dots are, you can't even see it. So it's pretty good. Okay, so let's get these scraps out of the way and my scissors out of the way. And now you'll see that this can go over this edge to edge, and it's pretty. And the same thing with the leaves. So you know, you could have just put this on the paper, but I kind of thought it got lost a little bit. It's pretty, but I like having the backing on it. So see, we'll do this. Isn't that pretty? So what I'm going to use is my liquid glue, and I'm just going to put very, very light dots inside these bigger holes, just on a few of them. And you really want to go lightly. And I think that's a little heavy. I'm going to try to pick it up from here and put it here. And I'll put one here. Okay, and then we'll just put this right on the flower. And just let it sit. Let's do the same with the leaves. So we'll just put it in the kind of the bigger dents. And then we'll just lay it on top of the leaf. And the other thing about the liquid glue is it does give you a little bit of time to line things up before it's stuck permanently. And this guy is, there we go. Okay, and let's do this last one. So normally when you're adhering vellum, you try to hide it by an embellishment, a sentiment, label, that kind of thing. Okay, so now what I want to do is stamp the other flower and stamp the stems and the leaves. So I'm doing that in Pear Pizzazz and the Highland Heather. And let me get a scrap. Let me just fold this in half because I'm going to go off the page. And I want to kind of figure out, and actually before I do this, I'm going to put my sentiment. Now I did Happy Mother's Day here. I'm making this one will be a happy, or get well soon. I thought it was a happy birthday. A get well soon. And these are all in the stamp sets, so we're good. So let's get this on, and then we can judge our placement. So I'm just going to line it up on this grid paper. Okay, and then we can line this up and get our stem and ink that up. And I'm just going to go, let's see. So I'm just gonna kind of wing it here. One here, and then one here. Okay, and then there's some other leaf images, and I like with the tulips to just go right up against it, because I think that's how tulips are, you know, in natural. They're kind of at the bottom of the flower, the stem. So I think that's good. Let's do our other little bud, and we'll do that in Highland Heather. And what's nice is you can see through the stamp, so you can really get it placed well. And while we're at it, let's do our inside. So let's put this aside, and we'll get the inside done. So again, I'm going to do this, the stem right up along here, and I'll do another one a little bit lower, and then we'll do some leaves, and we'll go right here and here. Oops. And then I'm going to put one up here too. Okay, I think we're done with the green. I'm not putting sentiments on the inside. So the Happy Mother's Day, I'll write my own little note. And then the Get Well Soon, I will also write a note. So on the inside, I'm just going to put 2 of these smaller ones because I just think they're so pretty. And I love this color. This would make a great Easter card. It doesn't have Happy Easter, but it has this Happy Easter, Happy Spring. If you had a Happy Easter, I think this would be a great Easter card because of the colors. And let's put that aside, and then we can put our card together. So let's get this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to adhere it to the piece of vellum. So let me get this. I did it with dimensionals. Let me get my dimensionals, and we'll just put this up. I think I'll put 3 on. I think that'll do it. And just take the back off. These are great because they're two-sided and they give you a little bit of height. They're not that high, but they just give you enough to make it look pretty. Okay. So we're just going to put this right there under the G, and then we have our leaves, and I kind of had a hard time figuring out where to place these, which side, so just go with it. And on this one I'll use a big dimensional, and I'll use a little. They have the mini dimensionals. You can cut up the big ones, but I have lots of minis, so they're just a smaller size. Okay, oops. There we go. So let's put these on. I love tulips. When I lived in New York, you knew spring was coming when the crocuses started blooming. Even if it's snowing, you see a crocus through the snow, and then you'd have the daffodils and then the tulips, and they're just so pretty. They just really make you feel like spring is here. This is a little out there on the side, but I think it's good. So that's nice. And then we need our piece of vellum. Let me get that out. So this is just a little bit smaller. It's 5 this way and 5 1/4 and 4 across. But I'll have all the dimensions on my blog, pspapercrafts.com. So don't worry about keeping track of it or writing it down or anything. I have everything spelled out with pictures and links to purchase these products if you're interested. So just watch and enjoy, and then you can go back to my blog and get all the details. And the Sale-A-Bration, that ends March 31st. So if you're interested in any of the free products, like for instance this vellum paper, you need to get that before the end of March. Otherwise it ends and the paper will no longer be available and you'll miss out. So let's get this lined up. And now we have area to cover so that we can put it right on here. I am going to put a couple of dots in the those dents so that the corners stay down. So I'm going to just put one right here and here. And then here, nobody will see this. So it's a good way to hide. And then we'll just lay it right down here. Okay. And then we can put a little adhesive back here and we're done with the card. And I think it's really so pretty. Springy is what comes to mind when I see it. And I think it's the tulips in this color that just do that. Okay, here we go. So get well soon. Who wouldn't love to receive that, and happy Mother's Day. And I have the inside pretty much the same on both. So thanks for joining. If you have any questions, leave me a comment either here or on my blog. Again, pspapercrafts.com. If you want to order anything and you need help with it, let me know. All right, thanks so much and have a good day. Bye.